Section 3.1, number 3. In this case, we want to write down a compare type of problem. Compare problem. So previously we did a add to problem, put together, take apart problem. But this in this case, we want to do a compare. So I give you tips about these two. So what's an add to problem? You must use words like buy more, get more, give me more, or bake more, cook more. And for put together and take apart, you must have two different categories, like red and green apples were different categories of CDs, right? And so compare, you must use, what's the tip? That you must use the words like more than or fewer than. So you have to have the words like than, some either more than or fewer than. That's called a compare. And these problems can also be solved by either addition or subtraction. Okay, so first of all, it has so make sure the word problem you write has the word more than or few than. Now also they specified we want to know the difference unknown. Okay. So when we have let's see, you can look at my example here. Rachel has 41 CDs. Benny has 23 CDs. Now, apparently, Rachel has more. So you can ask one of these two questions. You can either ask, how many more does Rachel have than Benny? But you could also start with, this, okay, here is the subject is Rachel. We start with Rachel, but you can also start with Benny. But because Benny has less, so fewer CDs. So you have to say, how many fewer does Benny have than Rachel? But either question, you will solve them by exactly the same thing, 41 minus 23, whatever that gives you. So although we could ask two different questions, the answer will be the same. Okay, if any of your students have trouble solving this, realizing actually it's always 41 minus 23, you could use the paper strip diagram to help them. So this is what we do. So you use a paper strip to represent the number of CDs of Rachel's, 41, and Benny's, 23. So again, make sure Benny's is shorter. The paper strip is shorter because it's a smaller number. And you can see Rachel, the first paper strip is longer than the second, or the second is shorter than the first. How much longer or how much shorter? And you can use a circle. So usually we use a circle and put a question mark in there or a box. So this is what we do. You draw a longer one, okay, label it. And you can also put Rachel's name here, and then you draw a shorter one, Benny, and put the number inside. Okay, so for this, the difference, how much longer or how much shorter, usually we use a circle and put question mark there. So here we're doing 41 minus 23, or you could, I guess the first part they ask us to do is to write two versions of a compare difference. So I have two versions. This is my version 1, and this is my version 2. Okay, and so you could write, when you write on the question, it could be either more than or fewer than. This is more than or a fewer than. That's for part A. Now, next, they want you to draw a strip diagram, which I did. So here's the strip diagram. I guess I can erase mine. And that's for part B. And they also want us to write, so we did a strip diagram, write an addition equation and a subtraction equation. So subtraction equation we already did it. 41 minus 23 equals what? But the addition problem, so you can see this Benny CD, this paper strip, 23. Add this little part, shorter part, the missing part. It's gonna together, these two, the rectangle and the oval together equals the long rectangle 41, right? So that's why the shorter rectangle plus the oval question mark equals the long rectangle. So you can see together, these two together make 41. So when you write down a addition problem, it should be 23 plus what equals 41 for my case. Or when you do subtraction, that would be the longer one minus shorter one, 41. The bigger number minus the smaller number gives you the difference. And this one is the difference. And these two numbers, 41, the bigger number, we call it the bigger amount. And 23 is the smaller amount. So sometimes they may ask you to write a word problem. We're going to have practice problems, and we have to know all different types. So they may ask you, say, okay, a different question. They want you to not write a difference unknown. They may want you to write a bigger unknown. So which means how many Rachel has, the bigger amount, we don't know, but you're going to have to tell them the difference. So in this case, the difference is 18. So you will have to say, okay, Benny has 23 CDs and Rachel has 18 more. How many CDs does Rachel have? So we're just solving for the bigger amount. Or you could also do solving for the smaller amount. So you're going to have, which means Benny is smaller. So you're going to have to say, okay, Rachel has 41 CDs, and this is 18 here, and which is 18 more than Benny. So how many CDs does Benny have? So solving for the smaller number. Okay, so there could be different types, but for this question, you all you have to do is both the bigger number. So we know the bigger number, 41. We know the smaller number, 23. Subtract them, which gives us the difference between their number of CDs. So that's called a difference unknown problem. Okay, so we did all of these. So I did addition, I did a subtraction equation. Now identify the version of the problems you wrote in part A that is harder. Which one is harder? Okay, so it depends on the question which one is harder. So for example, this word problem that I have, I wrote the two versions, and in my case, the version 1 is harder. And why? Because a lot of students, whenever they hear the word more, they automatically think more means add. So they will do addition. So when you give them question, they will do 41 plus 23 to get like 64, which is apparently wrong, right? That's not correct. But why did they do addition? Because when they see the word more, they just think, okay, more, I gotta add them, and without actually understanding the problem. We're using this strip diagram. But if you ask them version 2, when they see the word fewer, oh, fewer is subtraction. So they will know, okay, I'm going to do subtraction 41 minus 23. They will get the correct answer. What they did is they're not really understanding the question. They're just using the keywords. Say, okay, more is plus, fewer is minus, which is not correct. Okay, more doesn't always mean plus, because any two numbers, you can always use more than or few than. So when you compare them, for example, compare 3 and 5, you can say 3 is 2 fewer than 5, but you can also say 5 is 2 more than 3. And so it's, either way it works. So we cannot just rely on the keywords more than or few than. Okay, even because yes, Rachel has more, but you still do 41 minus 23. Benny has fewer, you still do 41 minus 23. So which one in this case, version 1 is harder, because students will do addition instead of subtraction. Okay, because students will do addition when they see the word, when seeing the word more than. But actually it's not correct, it's subtraction. If you give them the second version, they will do subtraction, so they actually get the correct answer.